Wow, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I thought it's only New York, New Jersey, and other states that had earthquake last night. That we should be happier that it didn't take place this area. So once again, good evening, everyone. Thank you. Ah, thank you, Dr. Hong. We really dearly appreciate your work and all you've been doing with your wife of blessed memory, for striving to set the pace for a summit of love and peace for global leaders. We appreciate your work, your dream, your vision, and your commitment to humanity. Having been an educator and school administrator for years, it is very important that we align the Day of Conscience to a very important part of humanity, the teachers. Why teachers' conscience? Why do we think that it's important to address the conscience towards the teachers and educators? Education is a fundamental human right. Throughout history, it has been a source of personal dignity and empowerment and a driving force for the advancement of social, economic, political, and cultural development. But today, education is in crisis. The impact of this crisis play out over time and often go unseen. To have a world, a transformed world, sustainably for everyone, there is need to look at teachers who are teaching and developing humanity. I say it because as an educator, I observe that teachers only think about the salary, the income, the payment, the benefit, and no longer the development of humanity. So to transform our world by 2030 as envisaged by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the international community must give teachers' conscience the attention it deserves. There must be decisively, with conviction, imagination, and solidarity, the need to transform education with strong emphasis on the conscience of teachers. But why teachers? Teaching conscience begins with teachers. We must love what we teach. We must love our career. We must love our profession. We must consider the people, the students, the children assigned to us, that building inside them the peace will help to have a peaceful and harmonious society. We don't just come to teach because we want just to get salary. I know that education has things to do with cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. But teachers today pay more attention on only the cognitive. And things about the affective, which deals with development of the inner mind, the conscience, is often neglected in a very big way. Because the teachers themselves has no application of the affective part of education, which deals with their inner self. So teachers need to approach the process of teaching and learning with passion, teaching and learning with passion. And where does passion originate from? From their hearts. They need to see themselves as partners in teaching and learning curriculum. Teachers need to transform the process of teaching and learning that must be dynamic in approaches and innovative. Teachers can remodel old methods and approaches and make them adaptive and appropriate to current situations and challenges. Transformation of education begins with the improvement of teaching and teachers' inner conscience. Building the love and career peace, what we call career peace. When you love your career, you build yourself into a peace on the career. And then when you build that peace on the career, you are able to teach and apply the career with all consciousness. So, transforming education cannot just be in a vacuum. It cannot just be an existential vacuum propensity. It has to be from the operation operandi of teachers from the grassroots. So igniting action for teachers' conscience. How do we then ignite action for teachers' conscience? The United Nations has designed and been talking about the Sustainable Development Goal for quality and inclusive education for lifelong learning, and gave us the tenets of 11 points to address education. Now, these are just theoretical without applying the implication aspect of it on the aspect of teachers and educators. We need to know that global collaboration and transforming learning to build an interconnected professionalism need revitalizing of teachers' conscience. We need to institutionalize teaching career, making teaching more lucrative, available, sustainable, and enriching. How do we ignite teachers' conscience? We are talking about the 4 pillars of education. When a teacher knows that a child under his or her care need to learn to know, need to learn to live together, need to learn to do, and need to learn to be, then her job is well achieved. Because all these things are rooted on the consciousness. We don't need books, we don't need resources, we don't need library for the teacher to know that a child, a student under his or her care need to be educated to know. What does she need to know? Right, to be planted in the conscience of that child. And it's only that will begin to understand that peaceful community living in harmony will gradually begin to develop. The teacher needs to know that teaching a child to live together in peace and harmony has to originate not from having excellent marks and results to pass a class or a grade, but it has to be rooted from the inner self, from the spiritual being and the conscience. The teacher has to teach the child that learning to do, be responsible, achieve sustainable learning for long-term sustainability has to build from the inner self, the conscience. And the teacher has to develop in the child that even when you read courses like law, engineering, medicine, and whatever courses you do, if you don't learn from your conscience what to be, we are still not doing the teaching job. So, Excellencies, Dr. Ho, and everyone, the family of Wapal, stakeholders, policy makers, advocates who are here. Let us craft a safe and sustainable tomorrow with teachers' conscience and build a strong future on power of hope. I thank you, Dr. Hong, for all you have done, and we want to continue that. With us here, And with all these statements and speeches done by people, that more work is being needed, especially in the life of teachers and educators. I thank you.
Thank you for your inspiring sharing. Indeed, Dr. Hong has always taught us that studying is the most important to learn how to distinguish right from wrong and good and bad. For me, as a graduate student now for public health, I put conscience in my mind and put conscience with sharing with others to remind